Washington is pressing for a rapid UN Security Council vote on its draft resolution for Gaza, while the global diplomacy is reaching a critical point. The American text endorses President Donald Trump's plan and authorizes an international stabilization force to operate across the devastated Strip. Meanwhile, Russia has introduced a rival draft, challenging the American proposal and exposing deep divisions inside the Council. While Gaza continues to suffer under the attacks of the Israeli occupation army, world powers debate the next phase: political arrangements, humanitarian access, and the possibility of a multinational force on the ground. Estimates suggest the most Council members may endorse the American plan, while Russia and China could simply abstain. The question is, will the Council reach consensus, or will competing drafts deepen the gridlock? Also, can a stabilization force help bring peace? And what political consequences will this resolution have on Gaza's future and governance? We'll attempt to answer these questions here on In Depth. Welcome to the program. According to the New York Times, the U.S. pushed to secure the UN Security Council approval for President Trump's 20-point peace plan in Gaza and has hit a major obstacle after Russia introduced a counter-resolution, signaling a potential showdown. The American resolution seeks to provide a mandate for an international stabilization force and a governing board. Several regional allies publicly backed the U.S. draft, arguing UN legitimacy is essential for their participation. Russia's rival text, supported by China, omits any stabilization force, rejects the Board of Peace, and instead emphasizes Palestinian statehood and unity between Gaza and the West Bank. Despite widespread concerns that Washington is rushing in the process, the U.S. made only limited revisions and wants a vote next week, though diplomats warn both drafts face likely vetoes. According to Sharq al-Awsat, UN Security Council talks on deploying Gaza stabilization force have intensified after a group of Arab and Islamic countries signaled support for the latest U.S. draft resolution. The move came one day after Russia circulated its own proposal, fueling concerns that the effort could collapse under a Russian or Chinese veto. The U.S. text would authorize a temporary international force, support border security operations, and reference a future Palestinian state, while Russia's rival draft avoids endorsing any force and instead requests technical options from the Secretary General. With a vote expected Monday, diplomats warn the process remains fragile, especially amid speculation that Moscow could veto the American draft and push Washington towards an alternative multinational deployment.
The United States is still working on a resolution to be presented to the United Nations Security Council calling for establishing a stabilization force in Gaza. Washington says the text supports President Donald Trump's plan to end the war, form an international stabilization force, and prepare for political arrangements. The U.S. effort comes with public backing from regional allies. The proposed stabilization force would deploy across Gaza to secure key areas, protect aid routes, and prepare for detainee exchanges. In a direct challenge, Russia introduced its own draft resolution. Moscow's text avoids endorsing Trump's plan and focuses instead on immediate ceasefire and full humanitarian access. Hence, Washington has amended Trump's plan to include a pathway for self-determination and establishing a Palestinian state, and also pursue the resumption of talks with Hamas. Negotiations are ongoing inside UN headquarters. Washington hopes for a vote within days. Estimates suggest that the majority of Security Council members will endorse the American plan. while Russia and China are expected to abstain rather than exercise their veto. For now, the Council remains divided and Gaza waits for action.
For more analysis, we're joined from Paris by Majid Boudin, an international law professor, and from the occupied Jerusalem by Ratiba Nacha, a Palestinian National Action Committee. Welcome to you both. Let's start off with you, Mr. Nacha. Now, the American resolution endorses Trump's peace plan and sets the stage for an international stabilization force in Gaza. From a Palestinian perspective, is this plan seen as a genuine way to de-escalate or as an internationalization of the control of the Gaza Strip?
Although the United States make a major changes in the resolution that it's implemented or proposes to the United Nations, still, as Palestinian, we have some uncertainty and fears from this kind of resolution that can make replace the Israeli occupation by international forces that will control and rule the Gaza Strip and separate it from the rest of the Palestinian lands, which means it's not about just if we have a control, international control for permanent or a short time for 2 years in Gaza Strip, but the fear is to separate Gaza Strip from the other Palestinian land and make it like a new de facto or reality that Gaza Strip is a region, is a Palestinian region, not connected and didn't have the same destiny for the other Palestinian lands as the West Bank and Jerusalem.
So your belief here is that basically this stabilization force would somehow remove the agency of Palestinians and their ability to basically self-govern?
Even if there is some Palestinian participation in Gaza Strip nowadays, but the real fear is to have this administration as a preparation for a permanent situation that separates Gaza Strip from the West Bank. During the last 17 years, we tried to make a reconciliation between the internal Palestinian between Fatah and Hamas to not make it a reality that Gaza Strip is separated from the West Bank. We are afraid that this kind of resolution and this kind of forces in Gaza Strip will prepare Gaza to be separated from the West Bank. And because of all of these things, not just if it's permanent or temporarily in Gaza, but because of the situation, it will be affected the whole Palestinian self-demonstration and the Palestinian state in all the 1967 lands as one piece and one land for the Palestinians.
Okay, Mr. Nacha, now the U.S. is obviously pushing quite forcefully the stabilization force so they can move on to the second phase of their peace plan. If they manage to pass this resolution, what are the real prospects for peace given the numerous violations of the ceasefire by the Israelis since it took effect? Even just today, 3 Palestinians were killed in Israeli violation.
We hope that we will reach the second phase of this ceasefire. Till now, it's not clear how it will be implemented and if there is a real will for really shifting to the second phase of this ceasefire.
So do you think that basically, even if there's a stabilization force, that the Israelis will find a way to violate the ceasefire? Or do you think that they may deter the Israelis from creating more violence?
What we have as a fear is not if Israel will continue the attacking on Gaza Strip. It's about dividing Gaza to 2 Gaza. One developed Gaza under the Israel or the international forces by the name of the international forces, and another side of Gaza Strip that it's completely destroyed and that's because they are still under the Palestinian governmental, which is Hamas, or maybe another Palestinian government in the other side of Gaza. And by that, we will have like development, Gaza under development and Gaza under rises for several years. And that will make more and more people transfer from one side to another side, and maybe push many people to leave Gaza to other destinations. So yes, the situation is not very clear. The United States plan is still not really very clear, and which sides or parts of Gaza they are talking about in the second phase, and who will be included in this plan, and how they will punish people, or how they will make the criteria who will deserve to be under the development and take these humanitarian aid or not. So I think that as Palestinian, there's a lot of issues that it's not clear till now, and we have a lot of issues that not discussed with the Palestinian part, and that make it more and more mysterious for the Palestinian people, and put a lot of question marks about this plan and the American initiative. Till now, we are talking about starting the second phase, but still this second phase is not clear, and we are not even have any kind of vision how we will continue from the second phase, which is the humanitarian phase, to the third phase, which means rebuilding Gaza and having a Palestinian government in Gaza.
Okay, Dr. Boudin, if we can get your take here. Now the United States is urging the Security Council to rapidly adopt the Gaza resolution for the stabilization force in Gaza and adopt or endorse Trump's peace plan. Why is Washington pushing for the speed of things to move along? And what does this urgency mean or stress when it comes to the rather broader strategy when it comes to Gaza?
Yes, I did not hear the question very well, but
okay. Do you want me to repeat the question for you, sir? Question? Okay, let me repeat it for you, sir. The United States is urging the rapid adoption of the Security Council for the resolution for the stabilization force and to endorse the Trump peace plan in general. Why do you think Washington is pushing for this at this speed? And what does this urgency tell us about the broader strategy when it comes to Gaza?
Well, first of all, now it looks like that there is an agreement to pass the resolution before the UN Security Council, and it will succeed to be voted, and it will not be as it is now. It will not be, they will not see a veto against it. So at least it will be a positive step. Even the countries, they did not agree to all aspects of this peacekeeping force or the stabilization force, whatever it's called. At least it will be some abstentions, but no vetoes. So we will see the resolution passing in these circumstances. Well, the point here,
yes.
First of all, we have to see that there is an agreement, a general agreement in the international community, which is a positive matter to relieve the Palestinians from these horrors of the continuous war for years now. The point here is what will be the subject matter of the implementation. There is the stabilization force, but then Israel they asked now that they will agree to have it under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter, and it means that it will have an important position. It will have important powers. It will be backed by the UN National Security. It will be also backed by all countries. It means that it will have military powers. But here, this is the positive answer. And this is the positive response to the situation. And it will be a good measure for the Palestinians.
But Dr. Boudin, the Palestinians may be fearful of the stabilization force. They're worried that basically they're not sure where they're going to be located. Will it split Gaza into two? Will it deter self-determination and self-governance of the Palestinians? These are all issues that seem to be a grey area for the Palestinian people. What's your opinion there?
Even if the link is not very clear, but I understood the meaning in general terms. It means that there is a point that it should be now, after the resolution, be clarified in the negotiations to put up to implement the resolution. The resolution is fine now, and it's good. We have it means that the UN Security Council has seen that there is a violation. It seems that they have to protect the peace situation and to reestablish the peace. So on these general terms, it's good. It's a good position, and we have to construct on it. The point here is to define on which scale, on which geography this must be implemented. And the major point is that the Palestinians must request that it should be implemented for all the Palestinian territories of the 1967 borders, which is accepted by the international community, and not only for Gaza. And this is very important, to not have the Palestinian territory divided into Gaza, where we will have a stabilization force, and on the other hand, the West Bank without any stabilization force. So it must be some equilibrium on this matter. First of all, the international community has agreed to disarm and demilitarize Hamas, which will be a good thing for the region and for the stability. The second point is that the Palestinian population will be protected from any aggression or resumption of the aggression by the Israeli army. But now we are talking about Gaza. And the Gaza situation is linked to the West Bank situation and East Jerusalem situation. Therefore, the Palestinians have the right to request under international law that this stabilization force must be deployed on all the borders of 1967 before the war at the time.
Well, Dr. Boudin, now Russia responded to the draft resolution of the Americans with their own resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire, as well as avoiding the endorsement of Trump's vision in general. How does Russia's counter-proposal reshape the diplomatic battlefield at the UN? And is it a valid proposal that may be taken into consideration by the international community?
Sorry again for the sound. This time it's a little bit difficult. But,
yes, Russia responded with its own resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire without endorsing the Trump vision for what the ceasefire looks. How do you see the Russian counter-proposal? Do you think that it may reshape the battlefield, I suppose, in the UN? Do you think it's a resolution that will be taken seriously by the international community?
This resolution, it will be amended tomorrow in the discussion, and it will be an attempt to reconcile the Russian counter-proposal with the American counter-proposal, but the base is the American proposal. And the Russians will, it's foreseeable that the Russians will agree with the Americans with some amendments. But within this resolution, nothing can prevent the Palestinians to request the international community to make a clear position on the stabilization force. What are the tasks of the stabilization force? And on which territory it should be implemented. The matter of the territory is the most important issue, and the Palestinians have the right to obtain this, and they are supported by all the countries in the region: Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the Gulf country, the Arab country, the Muslim countries, and the Europeans. And even the Trump administration and the US are supporting Now they're going into this matter. Netanyahu, he doesn't want this implementation to cover the West Bank and the East Jerusalem, and he wanted to be circumvented to Gaza. But this is a trap from Netanyahu to split the territory, the Palestinian territory. Why, if from now it is requested that this plan will be applicable from Gaza and also to cover to solve the Palestinian problem, is to have this interposition force on the border of 1967, and from there the solution will be the door of the solution will be opened on the base of international law and satisfaction of both parties, the Palestinians and also the Israelis.
Let's get Ms. Nacha's take here. Now, the US is obviously pushing for the rapid vote of their own resolution and to secure support, in addition to isolate opposition. Does this sense of urgency raise concerns among Palestinians about the Rush political engineering? And what's your take here as well on the counter-resolution proposed by the Russians?
Actually, the Russian proposal is more connected to the international laws and to the tools that the United Nations and the United Security Council using usually. So the reference of the forces that the Russian proposal asks for is really very known and familiar, and everyone can know that where is the reference of these forces and the tasks of it, and can be how time it would take these forces in the Palestinian in Gaza Strip, for example. Because of that, from my opinion, the Russian proposal is more clear for the Palestinians and respectful for the international tools, more the American one. I feel that the American proposal is trying to twist the tools of the United Nations and give the United States of America a greater role in putting the framework of these forces and how it works in the Gaza Strip. So yes, from my opinion, the Russian proposal has more guarantees for the Palestinians that these forces will do security roles, not any other roles that it's unknown or hidden. And for me, it gives more respectful for the United Nations tools and using it in every kind of conflict. And we didn't want to have a special resolution or a special kind of forces in Gaza Strip, which is still unknown, the mission of it, and its framework is not clear enough, and its reference is to the United States to control it and to give it its missions instead of the United Security Council. So I believe if we could have more votes for the Russian proposal, it will be better for us as Palestinians. But till then, in any way, we need to implement the ceasefire in Gaza and to start the humanitarian aid widely and rebuilding Gaza Strip, and to continue for next step and phase that has more stability on ground and a place for the Palestinian government to control over Gaza and the rest of the Palestinian land.
Well, it seems that, Ms. Nacha, that you're skeptical of the US draft resolution given the ambiguity of it. If it does pass and the stabilization forces are deployed, in your opinion, what consequences, politically be it or on the ground, would this have on the Palestinians and their right to self-determination? Is this going to even be possible for them?
We have a lot of international tools that we can use it instead of these stable forces. And if we are talking about international forces that it's led by the United Council it will be more realistic and more tractable from the Palestinian side. It's a choice, and it's a choice. It's a choice that shows that the international community is respectful, and the United Resolution can be implemented in the Palestinian lands as well as any other regions all around the world. So still we have this choice to make the United States not on the top of the world, and they didn't have a higher word than the United Nations Security Council, and by that we can have more security than we will have from this kind of capable forces that it's not clear how it will stabilize the situation in the Gaza Strip. And I think it's not even the question of the Palestinian or the suspicions of the Palestinian about these kind of process and its mission. Still, there's many countries refuse to participate in this kind of forces, and the United States didn't succeed till now to establish these forces because of the questions and unclear mission for these forces till now. So I think, yes, we must rethink about other tools that it's more tractable from these statable forces that we don't know till now how it will make the situation stable in the Gaza Strip. And otherwise, if Israel wants to continue violation of the Palestinian rights and re-attack Gaza, they can do that with the UN resolution and without the UN Security Council resolution of these forces, because we use that Israel is above the international law and they didn't respect any kind of resolution comes from the United Nations or the Security Council till now.
Okay, Dr. Abedin, now you talked about this as well. Diplomats are saying that Security Council members are ready to back the American draft, while Russia and China may well abstain instead of vetoing the bill itself. What does this expected vote tell us about the patterns when it comes to the power dynamics globally?
Well, again, this time the link is not very clear, but anyhow, it's not expected that it will be a veto against this plan at this moment. Things may change, but there is an agreement between the permanent members of the Security Council to not veto this peace plan for several reasons. But this is a fact today. At least some may not vote, but will not put a veto, and they will have an abstention. But this plan will pass. How it will pass, how it will be implemented, this is the most important thing. Now we have to consider that this plan has positive things today. Of course, it has negative things, but it has positive things, and we have to look at this first. These positive things is the protection of the Palestinians and the Palestinian people and the Palestinian population, but the scope of the protection must be defined. Is the Security Council going to protect only the Palestinians in Gaza, and why this limitation? Or it will extend it to the West Bank and to East Jerusalem. And this is what is required. And we and the international community must not make today a discrimination between the Palestinian population, the ones in Gaza with protection and the ones in the West Bank and Egypt without. So this is the key point. And if the Palestinians will manage to achieve this goal, to obtain that the stabilization force will be deployed on all the territory of the Palestinian state as defined in the borders of 1967, it's a major victory for the Palestinian state and for the Palestinian people. Then come the other questions. How is composed this stabilization force? It's not in the resolution.
Yes.
it will be implemented later. What are the powers? What are which kind of protection, and how they will protect the Palestinian people? On one hand, against any aggression from the Israeli armies, and on the same time, how the Israeli armies will be protected from any action from Hamas or any other group.
Okay.
This balance is the key point of this resolution.
Your point there, Dr. Boudin, is
discuss tomorrow.
Your point is clear, but unfortunately we're out of time. That was Majid Boudin, an international law professor and Ratiba Najah, Palestinian National Action Committee member. Thank you both for your insights. This brings us to the end of today's episode of In Depth. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for more updates here on Q News.